On August 4, 1986, a Monday, 13-year-old Jennifer Bastian left her Tacoma, Washington home around 2:30 p.m. She left a note for her parents saying she'd be back by 6:30 p.m. She was training for an upcoming bike tour in the San Juan Islands and decided to ride her bike to Point Defiance Park, a place she often visited to cycle along the 5-mile drive loop. Several people saw her at the park that day, taking a break from cycling, removing her helmet, and drinking some water. She was last seen around 6 p.m. However, Jennifer didn't return home. When she still wasn't home by 8:30 p.m., she was reported missing. Despite a search of the park and surrounding area, Jennifer wasn't found until 2 weeks later, on August 28th. A jogger found her body in a wooded area near where she was last seen, hidden under some bushes. The police believed the area had been prepared before Jennifer was brought there. Her bicycle was found nearby. An autopsy confirmed that Jennifer had been sexually assaulted and strangled to death, with asphyxia being the cause of death. The police started a homicide investigation and believed that Jennifer wasn't the killer's first victim. 5 months before Jennifer's body was found, another girl, 12-year-old Michella Welch, also went missing. Michella was last seen at Puget Park in Tacoma, Washington around 10 a.m. on March 26, 1986. She was at the park with her 2 younger sisters. Like Jennifer, Michella also had her bicycle with her that day. One of her sisters also had a bicycle, and the other had a skateboard. Michella pulled her sister along on her bike until they reached the park. When they got there, the 2 younger girls ran off to play. Michella cycled home at 11 a.m. to make lunch for the girls. When she returned to the park, she found that her sisters had gone to a nearby business to use the restroom. So, Michella left their lunch on the table at the park and went to look for them. Michella's sisters returned to the park around 1:15 p.m. and noticed Michella wasn't there. They played in a cave under the bridge for about 30 minutes before noticing Michella's bicycle next to theirs. They searched for her but couldn't find her. By 3 p.m., Michella still hadn't returned, and she was reported missing. Police arrived at the park by 3:10 p.m. A 13-year-old boy told them he saw a man under the Proctor Bridge watching the girls, but this man was never identified. Later that night, at 11:30 p.m., Michella's body was found in a makeshift fire pit in an isolated area of the gulch, over a quarter-mile away from the park's play area. She had been sexually assaulted, beaten, and her throat was cut. The autopsy revealed that Michella died from blunt force trauma to the head. There was also evidence of sexual assault and her throat had been cut. Swabs were collected, but DNA technology wasn't as advanced then, and despite numerous tips and calls, no evidence linked anyone to the murder. At the time of Jennifer's murder, no one had been charged in relation to Michella's murder. Due to the similarities in the cases, police believed they were looking for the same killer. However, despite thousands of tips, both cases went cold. Over the years, the cases were revisited multiple times, but nothing significant was found. In 2006, a male DNA profile was developed from the swabs collected at Michella's autopsy, but no matches were found in state and national databases. In 2013, a detective decided to test Jennifer's swimsuit for DNA. The swimsuit, found around Jennifer's ankle when her body was discovered, was initially believed to have been removed before the sexual assault and was never tested. However, testing revealed semen in the crotch area of the swimsuit. This DNA was compared to the DNA obtained in Michella's case, and it wasn't a match. For the first time in nearly 30 years, police realized they were dealing with 2 different killers. This revelation changed the course of the investigation, and the 2 homicide investigations were separated. The Washington State Patrol Crime Lab created a DNA profile from the semen found on Jennifer's swimsuit. Like in Michella's case, no matches were found in state and national databases. Police created a list of potential suspects to obtain DNA samples from, including a man named Robert Washburn. In 2017, police tracked down 60-year-old Robert Washburn in Eureka, Illinois. He voluntarily provided a DNA sample. Robert lived with his disabled daughter, whom he cared for full-time, and they had lived there for 13 years. The DNA test revealed a match, leading to the arrest of Robert Washburn, who was then charged with first-degree murder and extradited back to Washington. At the time of Jennifer's death, Robert was 28 years old, lived 9 blocks from her home, and worked as a mechanic at Boeing. He got married 4 years after Jennifer's murder, but his marriage ended in the mid-1990s. His ex-wife, Cindy Stevens, was shocked by his involvement in Jennifer's murder, describing him as always gentle. Robert's neighbors were also surprised by his arrest, describing him as a quiet man who mostly kept to himself and spent a lot of time indoors with his daughter. However, the police were less surprised. Robert's name was already on their files as a potential suspect in Jennifer's case from 1986. He had even called the police himself in May 1986, prior to Jennifer's disappearance, to give them a tip about Michella's case. He told them he frequently jogged in Point Defiance Park and had seen a man who matched the description of the suspect in Michella's case. After Jennifer's murder, Robert's name was added to their list of potential suspects. When questioned in December 1986, he admitted to being in the park the day Jennifer disappeared and even using the same trail where her body was later found. However, the police didn't have enough evidence to arrest him at that time. Before his trial began, Robert pleaded guilty to Jennifer's murder. His plea statement revealed that he had grabbed Jennifer by the arm, led her into the woods, and then strangled her. The court heard there were signs of sexual assault. Robert was sentenced to 26 years in prison and must serve a minimum of 20 years before he is eligible for release. So, that's it for today's video. I hope you like it. Thank you for watching.